This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 26.
Can I give every one of your listeners an idea that I guarantee can make them $100,000 a year that doesn't involve a get rich quick and doesn't involve paying me in any way? Is that okay?
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 26, and today's special guest is Clay Clark from Thrive15.com. Clay is a serial entrepreneur, and today he'll be sharing lots of amazing stories, and he'll be talking about many businesses that he owns and manages. Seriously solid episode ahead of you today, so enjoy today's show. Hi Clay, and welcome to the Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Hey, I appreciate you having me here today, my friend.
Great to have you here, Clay. And tell us a little bit more about your personal story and your business, Thrive15.
My story is I basically grew up on food stamps. I didn't grow up homeless. I wasn't always, we didn't live under a bridge or anything, but we had times where we struggled financially, and we had other times where we did okay. I would say kind of lower middle class. And I decided to start my first business out of my college dorm room. And then grew that. And in 2002, I was named Entrepreneur of the Year from the Metro Chamber of Commerce. And then 2007 was named the United States Small Business Administration Entrepreneur of the Year for some of the business ventures I did. And now today, I own 9 businesses. We have 5 kids, and we have 47 chickens, 1 duck. And that's where we're at.
Yeah, it must be really hard taking care of 47 chickens.
Yeah, well, I'm really into these guys. They're exciting, They're good. It's kind of that whole. I'm calling it the Camp Clark and Chicken Palace, So that's kind of the deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. And man, you just mentioned 9 businesses.
Yep.
At the same time.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. Could you give us some ideas on what those businesses are?
Yeah, and none of them are Ponzi schemes, so that's a good deal.
Awesome.
But if you If you go to eitrlounge.com, that's Elephant in the Room. That is a men's grooming lounge. That's a business that I'm involved in there. It's like a country club for men's haircuts. It's a membership-based model. It's fabulous. Then there's Epic Photos, Tulsa.com. People can check that out. That's our photography company. We do about $1.5 million a year of revenue there in the photography business in each city that we service. And then I am involved in real estate. I'm involved with a dental practice. I have a PR firm called Make Your Life Epic. And just a variety of businesses. I have a camera rental company. That's what I do.
How do you manage to be involved in all of those businesses at the same time?
I know my why. My why, as in my vision. I know my reason for getting up every day. And then I have the thing called KPIs. And my KPIs are my key performance indicators. And so every single day I follow up with every single person that I need to. And then those people follow up with those people. And with strict accountability and knowing what your why is, and then knowing what your KPIs are, your key performance indicators, you can manage a lot of stuff. So as an example, with the haircut business, we have to cut 1.25 haircuts per hour per person. It has to happen. And if anybody cuts 1.1, that's not cool. And if somebody cuts 1.5, they get a bonus. So it has to happen. And for our photography company, we have to make 100 outbound calls a day to brides who are getting married within the next 6 months. And every guy has to do it. And if they don't, it's not cool. And if they do, it's great. And if they do more than that, they get a bonus.
That's really awesome. And this is how you motivate people that are working with you or for you.
Yeah. Merit-based pay. I'm all about merit-based pay. There's a book called The Service Profit Chain, which was given to me by a guy named Chet Cadjo, who started the billion-dollar company called Quick Trip. And I don't have any new ideas. I just stole all my ideas out of that book. It's a Harvard case study about how Southwest Airlines, how UPS, Disney, companies like that, how they do it. And it's all about those key performance indicators and merit-based pay.
It's really awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'll make sure to check out that book. Sounds great.
Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit more about Thrive15? What is this about?
Yeah, Thrive15.com. That's my baby. That's my passion. That right there is a mixture of passion and profit. I mean, that's my mission. That's my deal. And Thrive15 is designed. I've consulted clients all over the world. So people such as your listeners, a lot of times will call and they'll say, "Hey, we'd like to help you have us we'd like for you to grow let's say, our cosmetic surgery spa. And I'm like, okay. And I'll come in, and a year later, we'll be about 50% up or 40% up or whatever. And the business will grow, but I have to charge people a fee. And my wife says, hey, hon, you know what? There's people out there all around the world who can't afford that fee, and we used to be one of them. What if we charge people $50 a month and we provide world-class training, but not just you, but all the gurus, all your buddies, all the guys you hang out with, all your pals, your mastermind. And so we got Lee Cockerell, is a buddy of mine. He's the guy who used to manage Walt Disney World. So if you want to learn management, the guy who managed Walt Disney World teaches you. And if you want to learn PR, Michael Jackson's PR consultant, Nike's PR consultant. You can't get any bigger. His name's Michael Levine. He's my friend, and he's the trainer for PR. And if you want to learn sales, one of the top sales guys on the planet, Jim Cathcart. You're getting mentorship from mentors and millionaires, and then instead of paying $50,000 to go to college and learn about and general ideas that don't matter, you can pay $50 a month to learn the specific things you need to know. And instead of college where you learn and it's an event and now you're done, Thrive is ongoing education, and you can submit questions and we'll answer it. So it's like 10 times the better business school experience, but for 1% of the cost.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible, man. That actually does sound quite cheap for what you offer.
We had a guy this week who just emailed me, and I don't want to say something that's not true here on the Super Podcast, because your listeners deserve better. But here's the deal: is we have a guy named Dominic, and Dominic, if you're listening, I told him to listen in here, but Dominic, he is a thriver, and he is a former school teacher. And he sent me an email that said, SEO and referrals, boom, exclamation point. Gross sales equals sick results. And he just sent me this thing, and he said year over year, his revenue, he's now increased his income 145.77% so far this year learning the stuff on Thrive.
Over just 1 year.
Yeah, and I'm gonna email after the program. I'll send it to you so you can share it with your listeners. But this happens every day. We have a bakery who she's actually over tripled the size of her company in the last 9 months.
Wow, that's really awesome, man.
Yeah, that's what we're all about, man. It's spreading the good news. I'm not being sacrilegious, but it's kind of the gospel of wealth is my idea. It's kind of like it's not in placing the gospel. It's certainly not even on the same level, but I think people understand it. It is good news. It's a positive thing. We're trying to help people.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome, and the results, I guess, speak for themselves. Actually, a few episodes ago, I had a business and a lifestyle consultant come on the podcast, and we were talking about the subject of consultants and how a lot of people are very skeptical about it, hiring someone to help them with the business.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly saying, well, let's say I'm selling handmade purses from Italy.
Okay.
And I would say, well, Clay, why would I hire your company? You guys have never sold handmade purses. What could you possibly help me with in that business, right?
Well, the thing is, every business is the same. So once people get that, then life gets easier. So as an example, Leonardo da Vinci is a polymath. So he was a guy who wrote backwards. He's a guy who was a painter. He's an artist. He's an inventor. He's a genius. You go, wow, that guy's awesome. Well, then you look at Benjamin Franklin. He's a polymath. How did he do? You look at Elon Musk. He's a polymath. Well, how do these people get so good at so many things? When you study them and you look at their life and their principles and how they do it, they all operate almost exactly the same. And that they all know their why. They all focus on their KPI, their key performance indicators. And they all learn from mentors and not mistakes. So even the great Bill Gates said just recently on a TED Talks that all of your listeners can watch, he said that every single person needs a coach. Recently, there was a study that came out. It's crazy, but it looked at championships and players. And, think about this. Kobe Bryant is arguably the best basketball player of the millennial generation. Michael Jordan is probably the best of all time, let's say. That's a total between the two guys. It's a total of 11 championship rings for the game of basketball. Neither one of them won a championship without Phil Jackson. So Phil was the coach. He was the mentor. He was the Yoda. He was the guy who coached them. So I have a coach. I actually hire a guy, many guys, not just one, but there's a guy named Bill Shofty who grew a $1 billion business. And I humbled myself, a.k.a. want to avoid pain, And I said, wow, you've built $1 billion company. I haven't. I should hire you. And he helped me refine my why and my KPIs and build my duplicatable systems. And boom, it works. And so if someone is listening and they have a small business and they, let's say they have 200 employees or less, I'm confident, money back guarantee, we grow your business. If you implement it, we grow your business. And then if somebody's listening and they have like 40,000 employees, I'm confident that Lee Cockerell's management strategies, they did okay at Disney World.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's a really amazing guarantee, man.
Yeah.
So, Clay, let me ask you this. Have you ever had like a typical, what we call a typical 9-to-5 job, like an actual job that you worked for someone and not for your own business?
Yes, and that's a great question. I think that's important for your listeners to if you're listening to this right now, I think it's super important for you to know this. I used to study what I would call the dark art of jackassery. I was doing everything wrong. I didn't know my why, I didn't know my KPI, and I went to work at Target. And at Target, I was a plague. I wanted to get off. I wanted to take time off. I wanted to, eat as many soft pretzels as I could. I wanted to pretend like I was working when I wasn't working. I worked at Applebee's. I was always trying to get off, trying to reschedule, trying to say I didn't feel appreciated, how come I'm not a manager? How come I'm not being trained properly? And it was always somebody else's problem. But at one point, I came to the conclusion after reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill that everything that I have done in my life, where I am right now in my life is 100%, where I am right now in life is 100% my fault or my credit. I got done with this idea of entitlement. I mean, you have potential, I have potential, who gives a crap? Andrew Carnegie says that the older I get, the more I look at what people do and not what they say. And I realized I'm just a talks-a-lot. I'm talking about how I'm going to do this and do that. I'm going to do this, and I've got a vision, and God has a plan for my life, and I'm going to do this. And I realized I have to actually do something. And, I'm a Judeo-Christian guy, but in Proverbs it talks about that God blesses the hand of the diligent and punishes the slackard. If you're not a Judeo-Christian guy, just read Elon Musk a little bit. And Elon Musk says it's hard to have success if you're not willing to work 60 or 80 hours a week. And I used to think 60 hours, that's crazy. Who works 60 hours? Now, I don't remember a day where I have not woken up before 5 a.m., and every day I work 12 hours a day. Every day. Love it.
Wow. That's crazy, man. And I hope this comes as a lesson to those who want to get into specifically online business because they've seen some infomercial or some ad online that promised them to make them rich overnight by making 3 simple clicks without putting in any work. Guys, that's not possible. Once again, I say it every single time, almost on every episode of my podcast. You are not going to find freedom or wealth by not working. You'll have to invest your time. And what I really love about online mostly is that you don't really need an investment. I mean, you could start a big and profitable business without investing, or maybe by investing like $100 to $100 for the basics like website and hosting and Can
I give every one of your listeners an idea that I guarantee can make them $100,000 a year that doesn't involve a get rich quick and doesn't involve paying me in any way? Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Here we go. If you're listening to this right now, you got to write this down, or you got to pull over and write it down. But this is what you got to do. 1, you got to have a computer, and if you're listening to this, I'm fairly certain you have one. But let's just say you don't have one. You got to get a computer. 2, you need to buy a Dragon headset. It's a headset that turns your talk into text. Cool? 3, need a smartphone. Okay, can't have a dumb phone, needs a smartphone, got to have it. This is what you're going to do. If you will learn search engine optimization, you'll learn how to do it, which is not that complicated. It comes down to 4 things. Who has the most content that's non-duplicate? Who has the best Google architecture? 3, who has the most backlinks? And 4, who has the most local reviews and the most Google mobile compliance? If you will study those 4 things, here's my little game for you. 1, you could go to thrive15.com, and on there you could log on for a 30-day trial. You just use the promo code CLAY. You go on there, and you can learn everything you need to know about search engine, and then you can cancel and not pay me. That you can do that, okay? So you can, if you're military, it's always free for you anyway, but you can do that. And when you do that, once you learn search engine, this is your steps. Make a list of 100 people. It's called the Dream 100. It's from the book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. chapter 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I'm trying to give you guys thousands of dollars of consulting value here in 5 minutes and for free. So here we go. So you go ahead and you go there and you buy that book, chapter 6, 7, 8, 9, of a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine, which is written by Chet Holmes, who used to be a partner of Warren Buffett's partner, Charlie Munger. So you buy that book, you read chapter 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you create what we call a Dream 100 list. On the Dream 100 list is you make a list of clients that are your ideal clients. If I got these clients, I win the lottery. I will win life's lottery if you call them. And what you do is you call them and you say to the customer who's on page 2 of Google. Do not call people who are on page 1 of Google, but call the people who are at the bottom of page 2 and say, here's the deal, doctor. I would like to do the search engine work for you, and I will do it for free and without compensation. And when I get to page 1 in Google, I would like to manage your search engine moving forward for $1,500 a month. So hopefully everybody's following me. You call a doctor who's on page 2 of Google. You say, hey, doctor. You call the roofer. You say, roofer. You call the plumber. You say, hey, plumber. I know you're on the bottom of page 2. You don't have to sign a contract. There's no agreement. There's no nothing. All I'm saying is once I get you to the top of Google, I'm willing to put in the sweat equity. I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to earn your business, truly. And then once I get there, I would just ask a gentleman's agreement if you'll pay me $1,500 a month to maintain it, because as you know, if I don't maintain it, you'll fall to the bottom of Google. And this is a system that I have actually done. And I have actually done this system that I'm explaining to you right now. And I actually taught one young lady how to do this system. And this one young lady was able to make over $42,000 a year from her house by doing this. I taught a man who used to haul poop for a living, who had never been on the internet. He was a chicken guy. He used to do some work hauling chicken poop and horse poop, and just kind of poop was his deal. And he was working on a farm. I taught him this system, and he made over $50,000 last year working from home doing this system. I taught a school teacher how to do this. He recently left his full-time job as a school teacher, now makes $70,000 a year doing this from home, but he does it for his own business, which is called Launch Academy. And now Launch Academy is top in Google, and he makes money as a tutor, and people find him. I taught a basketball coach how to do this. We doubled his business. This is something that anybody listening right now can do it. But the problem is, not you people, not your listeners, but most people aren't willing to put forth the effort. They're looking for a unicorn. They're looking for a leprechaun. They're looking for the magic, like you said, the 3 clicks. And that's not possible. But you can absolutely do it. I believe in you. If you don't know what to do, I encourage you to start with that.
Awesome advice, man. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
And, once again, going back to the subject, when I started online marketing back in 2007, 2008, and my friends realized that I don't have a typical job. I don't go anywhere 9 to 5. Yet I was going on vacations overseas, and I was I had this brand new car, and life seemed good. And a lot of them would ask me well, I want to do the same thing as you do. How do you do it?
Yeah.
So I would go into explaining the basics of SEO and online marketing, and how to find your perfect audience, how to do keyword research, stuff like that. And when people would hear it, they would be like, okay, yeah, but is there a way to not do any of that? Ooh. Because I really don't want to do all that. I just want to sit in front of the computer and make money. I'm no, you cannot do that. You have to put in the effort. And that's the beautiful thing. Once again, the great example that you just gave, you don't need a bunch of money to invest to start this kind of business, but you do need to invest your time, and you have to put in the effort.
Furthermore, you could be what people in academics would call an idiot. I actually took algebra 3 times and never really did get it. I took my ACT 3 times. I don't do well in school. When I'm in school, formal settings, I tend to hear the person next to me talking, someone breathing. I can't focus. I used to just be talking to dudes about girls in my class. Just didn't do well in school. And you don't have to be a genius. What you do have to do, though, is you have to be disciplined and committed. So you've got to ask yourself right now, your step right now, I would just say step number 1 for everyone listening is ask yourself, why am I on the planet? What's the point? And once you know what you're about, then you become a person who you stay up late at night and you wake up early on fire. I don't even require sleep. I'm just being totally real with you. I sleep 5 hours a day, but it's really just me waiting for the next day to come here, because I freaking love every minute of every day. So like this morning, I said I woke up at 1:51 a.m. I woke up at 3:30 a.m. yesterday, 2:58 the day before, 12:15 a.m. So I go to bed like, 8 or 9, whatever. I have to put my kids down to bed, and I talk to my wife, and we do whatever. And then I basically, sleep for 5 hours. I just wait because I love life, and that's how everyone should feel. Russell Simmons, the famous guy who basically transformed hip-hop music into mainstream music, he started Def Jam. He says this. He says that, I'm paraphrasing the quote, but I encourage everyone to look it up. But he says, the goal is to live life the way that Marvin Gaye sang a song, the way that Michael Jordan played basketball, the way that Steve Harvey tells a joke. The goal is to live life at your fullest and to do that every day. And anytime you run into a day where you go, I don't feel like I'm moving towards my goal, even though I did construction, I felt like I was moving towards my goal. Even though I was working from 5 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, pouring concrete, I knew I was moving towards my goal. And when you have a hope and a vision and a dream and you move towards that distant goal, you take those small steps up the mountain, you'll be energized every day, just like you are. But if you're listening right now and you're going, gosh, I don't really want to go to work today, I'll tell you what, I bust tables, I've worked construction, I've done every job you don't want to do, but I don't mind doing it. I would do it all over again if I had to, because I know my why. I know what I'm about. I know my mission.
Thanks for sharing that, man. Great stuff. And that brings me to a question that I usually ask my podcast guests, and I think it's kind of pointless to ask you because I already know your answer. But what would you suggest to someone who, let's say, started a business, it picked up a little bit, they made some money, then it got really difficult and unprofitable at least for a little while. And the person is starting to think, screw that, I should get back to an office job and just work like normal people. Well, how would you prevent them from doing that?
Well, here's what you need to do is you need to figure out what your why is. I know I'm a broken record. Let's just give you an example. My dad has stage 4 cancer. Okay, so he's in remission. When you get stage 4, it's like you're going to die unless something miraculous happens. That's a true story. So he has the tumor removed. He has the heart surgery because he found out he was having congestive heart failure on top of that. We didn't know he was sick at all. And he goes through that. So now he's in a situation where he doesn't have cancer anymore. It's in remission, but now he's having heart problems. I have 5 kids. My son was actually born blind. And I can get into all this stuff, but I grew up, didn't have any money. I support many members of my family. I got the chickens too, but there's their family. I take care of these people. So, and then my wife and I, we support. There's a couple charities, but there's one in particular. It's a thing called the Royal Family Kids Camp, and it's for kids who've never had their birthdays celebrated because they've grown up in an institution because they had an idiot masking as a father who created them, and so they don't have a dad, they don't have a mom, and so they've never had anyone invest in their life and tell them that they mean something. And so my wife and I, we support that. We supply materials, supplies, things for that. We support single moms who want to have a baby and are looking to put their child up for adoption, and we do those things. And you know what? I could go to work until Tuesday and make enough money to sit home the rest of the week and just enjoy margaritas and time with my chickens. But instead, I'm going, no. I know I am on a mission, and I know what I'm about. And so I do the things I need to do to get it done. Now, I can tell you this, though. If you want to see me not doing this, if you want to see me not motivated, if you want to see me not inspired, as you were speaking of, where I kind of lost the mojo for something, take me golfing. I hate walking. I hate golfing. I hate golfing and walking. So I'm not motivated. So if you take me golfing, I'll be excited for about an hour, and then I'll realize, wait a minute, I'm golfing. And I'm going to lose all motivation. I don't want to be there. If you want to take me on vacation, watch me get uninspired. I don't do vacations. I like to work. Working is my vacation. So everyone has their own deal, but you've got to, if you're listening right now and you're kind of losing the mojo, you got to figure out what is the point. What are you working towards? And I promise you, if it's something that is your core mission, you'll never lose enthusiasm. Burnout does not happen when you're really pursuing your own goals.
Mm-hmm. That's really good advice, man. And I'd like to hear about a little bit more about the whole path that you went from being a college kid, from starting your first college business to where you got now.
Yeah, well, okay, here's the deal. I wanted to call the company, it was going to be called Clay Funk. because my name's Clay, and Funk and Clay Funk. And then my roommate, I got a guy across the hall from me, Jason White. He says, "Hey, you should call it DJ Connection." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because you're connecting people to DJs. It's the deal. It's the move. It's the jam. DJ Connection." If you guys go to djconnection.com right now, you can check it out. So I'm like, okay, it's DJ Connection. Bought all this equipment. I'm working construction. I bought the speakers. I bought the lights. I bought the sound system. I bought the printer. I bought the credit card terminal. I'm in my dorm room, and I'm just, I spent $20,000 on stuff. Had a used Mazda MPV hand-painted maroon van. It was gross. But I had that whole deal going on. Had the subwoofer in the back, so when I listened to my Timbaland, it would just, it was a great time. But my phone never rang. And I thought, what do you mean? I got the van, I got the equipment, I got the ad. How come my phone's not ringing? So I went and talked to a guy by the name of Clifton Talbert. And Clifton Talbert, Taulbert, Talbert. Clifton Talbert was a guy who helped launch the Stairmaster product. And Clifton was also the man who was not allowed to go into a bank because he's black. He is old enough to have grown up in the segregated America in Glen Allen, Mississippi, where he was literally denied access to the entry of a bank because of the color of his skin.
Wow.
And he went on to start a bank. So Clifton says, Clay, you got to figure out your why, your goals, and you got to break that down into these. He didn't call them key performance indicators, but he said you got to break them down into your daily tasks and hold yourself accountable. And whenever you start to lose motivation, look back at that list. And so I went back to my apartment, and I didn't do it. And didn't do it, and struggled, and didn't do it. I go back to Clifton. He says, listen, you got to get serious. I can't care more than you. So I end up making those calls, and I start making calls. I decide every day I'm going to pass out 100 flyers. I'm going to put 100 flyers underneath the doors of students in their dorm room, 100 a day. And I'm going to make 100 calls a day. So on foot, passing them out in my backpack, and then making 100 calls. And I still keep my backpack in my office underneath my desk, so that reminds me of it. But I pass out my flyers, and I make my calls. And I'm calling like the sororities, going, "Hey, are you planning a party this year? Are you looking for a DJ?" I'm calling apartments. "Hey, are you planning on booking a pool party?" I'm calling companies. And I'm getting rejected, and I'm the worst cold caller. I didn't have a script. I didn't have a plan. I hadn't read Soft Selling in a Hard World. I hadn't read Ultimate Sales Machine. I just thought if I'm motivated, I could do good. I'm like a guy going to the gym without a plan. You know that guy? You see the guy at the gym, and it's obvious he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's doing it aggressively. That was me. So I started reaching out to mentors. They started telling me what books to read. I'm reading these things. I'm devouring these. I'm eating through books like people eat, chips and salsa. I'm just bam, just boom, 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 boom. My script starts getting better. My calls start getting better. I start making 150 calls a day. 150 calls a day, dropping off my 150 flyers. I'm getting up now, 4 a.m., dropping stuff off, making calls. And then, boom, Laura calls. Who was Laura? Unfortunately, Laura was a sucker because Laura booked me and to DJ for her and knew that I had no experience and went ahead and booked me, but I'm happy that she booked me. Because I DJ'd and I screwed up that sorority party more than you could possibly imagine. My sound system didn't work. I didn't have the music I needed. I screwed up. And then I had to look back and go, this is my fault. I'm an idiot. So I had to go back and fix my system. And I probably screwed up, without exaggeration, probably 25 weddings, 5 or 6 proms. Just screwed them up where people left and went, what was that? That was perhaps, it's like watching a stand-up comedian tell jokes that aren't funny. It's just bad. And so I learned. About year 2, I decided I'm no longer going to get beat up by the dumb stick. I'm going to now reach out to someone who really knows how to DJ. So reached out to a person who's an expert in the field, started building systems and checklists, and then pretty soon I started making announcements like, ladies and gentlemen, coming up in just a moment, our beautiful bride and the handsome groom are going to be cutting the cake. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful bride and the handsome groom are cutting the cake. Let's put our hands together for them, everybody. Oh, yes. And people were like, man, that was good. And I'm like, yeah, because I got a script. And then I started figuring out that Billie Jean has the same beats per minute as Rapper's Delight. And I started paying people to teach me how to beat juggle and beat match. So then you got the hip, hop, hibby to the hip, and boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. And it goes right there. And I found out to go from that beat right there, put it down, bum, put it. and I got that whole flow going. And then I'm like a hip, hop, a hippie, and I could do the beats on top of each other. And I'm like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, up next year, we're going from the 70s to the 80s for the ladies. How many ladies do we have in the house tonight? Oh, and people started going, man, you're good. And then people started booking me. And after the weddings, I started putting in a workflow and a checklist, and pretty soon it became a show. And I started hiring people. And it just kept, but the thing is learning is not an event. Learning is a process. It's a never-ending deal. You don't get in shape one time. You have to stay in shape. So I have the honor today of having a guy shadow me today in our office who's a wonderful guy named Isaac. And Isaac is a fitness expert, meaning that he actually became an expert of fitness. Well, you can't just go, hit the gym and get jacked and then stop because you already did it. I mean, there's people who do that, but you can't. Now, if you want to keep your metabolic rate up, you have to no meat, no wheat, no sweets, or or lean meat, no sweets, no. He knows the systems. He knows when you're supposed to eat. And then today he shadowed me, so he'll be like, "Hey man, you're not eating anything all day. You sick freak. Your metabolism probably doesn't even. You don't even have one anymore. And it's my fault because I'm not following the key performance indicators to be successful. So if you're listening to this, I would just encourage you: don't screw up weddings. Don't beat match the songs that don't fit together. Reach out to mentors. Just do, even if you don't go on to Thrive, reach out to a mentor. But if you do go to thrive15.com, just click the little button. It's free, and ask us a question, and we will always respond with the answers. It's like having a genie. It's unbelievable. Now, the only difference between a genie and a genie ass is pronunciation and a couple letters. But work with me. Most people are wishing. They're just rubbing a genie all day. I wish I would be successful. I hope I'll make some money. I wish I'd get ahead. I'm praying for more. That's great. I mean, I believe in God, and I believe in praying, and I believe in hoping, and I believe in wishing. But you got to do something. Because vision without execution is hallucination, according to Thomas Edison.
That's true, man. And it's a great story. And see, the thing is that most people, if they were in the same spot as you, right? So they started this DJing business, and it picked up, it goes well. They would probably, most people would stay in that business, and that's the company they would die with.
Yeah.
But you didn't stick to that. You moved forward to other stuff.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the DJ business, just for a little context, I grew that thing from 99 to 2008. So I was with that guy for 9 years. And what happened is my son was born blind, and I couldn't go to his medical appointments because I was booked to DJ. And I couldn't go to, I DJ'd literally, and I'm not exaggerating, every single Saturday and every holiday except for Christmas for I think 9 years in a row.
Wow.
So if you're really good, people come up to you and go, "Hey, can I book you for New Year's?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And what I was doing was I had neglected my faith, and I had neglected my family, and I was not worth a penny as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided that I would put my faith first, my family second, my finances third, and build a scalable and sustainable business model where that through my time, not my words, but through my time, through my actions, I can show my wife that she is the most important thing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to change everything. And so to do that, I sold that business. We were doing about 4,000 weddings a year. And I sold it, and I started to build scalable business models. And so now every business model I have now, I work about an hour a week in every business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the deal.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're a dad who's not really being a dad, you're a guy who produces a child and you're not really spending time with your kid. I know it's a difficult subject, and I'm not criticizing you. I'm just going to criticize me. I did a really bad job, and I did everything you shouldn't do. I was always faithful to my wife, but I always made those bad decisions with my investments and my time. And now my kids, they work in my building. They're in my building all the time. We homeschool them now. We spend all the time together on the weekends. I bring them with me to speaking events. My wife is my assistant. Life is just, it's more focused on family and focused on my faith. And those are things that I believe matter more.
Yeah, that's true, man. Great stuff. And this comes a bit off topic, but what's up with the chickens that you have?
Well, here's the deal with the chicken. See, I have this vision right now. I've got this vision a couple years ago. I'm really working towards it. I want to have 50 fruit trees and 50 chickens. and a man room and a dojo, a real dojo, a dojo of mojo. And I want to have a music room for my kids. And I want my son to learn how to sing like Justin Timberlake. And I want my daughters to learn how to write music like Taylor Swift. I want my kids to become polymaths. And I want to have my dojo, and I want to have my man room, and I want to have my 50 chickens, and I want to have my 50 fruit trees. And so I have begun changing everything to do that. And so now, like today, my kids are doing voice lessons upstairs with a man by the name of T.L.O. Dell. Big shout out. You got to check that dude out. T.L.O. Dell. His music is hot. Sounds just like Timberlake and Robin Thicke, but it has a meaning to it. He's great. But they're up there doing vocal lessons with that guy. And on the weekends, we're building this crazy chicken palace. And probably in about a year, I will never need to go to the store again. So I should be like off the grid if I want to be.
So you're already getting your eggs from the chickens, I guess.
Not yet. They're like baby chickens. I got the Chicken Palace Coop 1, Chicken Palace Coop 2. I've got the duck, coop up there now. And I'm beginning construction on the roof line, so it will look like a dojo, and I've got that going on, and I'm knocking out walls. I'm doing just a ton of work on it right now. So we're about 6 months away from Operation Dojo of Mojo meets the Chicken Palace.
Awesome, man. And I still can't believe how you're finding the time for these passions for your businesses and for your family. You said 5 kids, right?
Oh yeah, 5 kids. They're the best. It talks about a lot in the Bible. And again, if you're listening to this and you don't like the Bible, that's okay. But when you have kids, it's a real neat thing because you can bless them, you can teach them things that you wish you would have known. And my kids, we have a merit-based pay life. So my kids, they don't get an allowance. They get paid for tasks. So they clean our building. And so my daughter, she's 11, and she's going to be joining the video editing team here probably in about 60 days. And so she'll be able to make about $30,000 a year starting here in about, in just a couple weeks.
That's a pretty cool salary for an 11-year-old.
Yeah, no, it's merit-based pay, so she gets paid per video she does. And so she now does all the cleaning. She makes $500, right now a month doing that. And she gets paid $50 for every autobiography she reads. So she reads like the Carnegie book or the Steve Jobs book or the Walt Disney book. And she reads it and writes a report. She makes $50. And she likes to buy those American Girl dolls. So she's just tearing them up. And then she made $100 a couple months ago to learn to moonwalk. That was on her list, And now the new thing we're working on, the Michael Jackson moonwalk. You got to learn that. It's a fundamental. And now we're moving on. Now we're working on teaching her really, really how to edit videos, how to fly a drone, because I think that's huge. We're teaching her how to code. She's learning coding. And so she'll be able to come in and do a job that we currently pay somebody about $30,000 a year for, and she'll be able to do that task in a couple weeks. Oh,
that's really awesome, man.
And, by the way, kids learn better than I do. Because we have again, I don't want to be too religious with you, but if you have a childlike faith, if you have a childlike mindset, if you have this belief that you can do something, you can learn anything real quick. So do you have the audacity, for me to have the audacity to think that I could help a chiropractor grow his business when I'd never done it before? Pretty crazy. Or to think that I could help a neurologist double his company and I'd never done it before. But I step up to the plate and I say, hey, neurologist, I will double your business. And in fact, you don't have to pay me anything at all until we get to XYZ. And he's like, okay, cool. And then I did it. And then I could add him as a reference and a testimonial and all that. And now, neurologists all over the world reach out to me. So, it's a deal of if you're listening to this, you're not too old to learn something new. Colonel Sanders didn't get his mojo until he didn't get KFC going, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Colonel Sanders struggled to get Kentucky Fried Chicken going until really late in life. Walt Disney lost it all twice. People don't know that. Henry Ford lost it all 5 times. My main man, Thomas Edison, had 10,000 failed experiments. Steve Jobs had over 300 no's that he received. Google took years to get to profitability. Facebook took years to get to profitability. So what makes us think that we're going to become successful overnight? I call it jackassery.
Yeah, man. It's also you just touched this point that always makes me. I don't want to say laugh, but it always makes me, when someone talks about it, I'm like, really? When someone talks about the Angry Birds because all the people know about video games, and especially when it comes to apps and iPhone games. And people are like, Angry Birds, those guys got so lucky. Look at the game that they launched, and now it's worth like $1 billion.
Yep.
I was like, do you know that it's not a few guys? It's a big team of developers that worked for like years and years. They had millions of investment. Every single game they created over like the 3 or 4 years failed. I think it was almost 60 games.
Yeah.
They all failed. And when they started programming Angry Birds, they said, this is the last project we'll ever do, because if it doesn't go anywhere, we'll have to do bankruptcy. We can't take it anymore. There's nothing works, for us. And that's when it picked up, because they were in a really tight spot. Yeah. And, they, over the years and experience, they figured out those little psychological triggers, how to translate them into video game action, right?
Yep.
But it took years to create that game and millions of dollars. It wasn't an overnight success like a lot of people think. It's like, they just made a video game and boom, they made millions overnight.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, overnight success does happen, but it happens after like 6 years of all-nighters. It's just the last night. It's the overnight. You know what I mean? The last night.
There you go.
But the thing is, everybody can do it. That's the cool deal. I mean, it's a spiritual law. Let's say you're going, you're a whack job, and I don't believe in your Judeo-Christian faith. Let's just pretend that's true. Okay, fine. I'm wrong. You're right. But look, work with me here. If you do just these 5 things, if you just do the 5 things I ask you to do, if you do it for the next 3 years, I promise you are going to be financially abundant. 1, figure out why you're on the planet. 2, figure out the problem that you will solve to be able to afford the planet, to be able to afford the achievement of your goals. Figure out what problems will you solve to achieve those goals. I mean, what are you on the planet for? So if you say, I want to give money to kids. Okay, cool. How much does that cost? Step 2, figure out what are you going to do in order to do that. What problem are you going to solve? 3, what are your key performance indicators? What do you have to do every day in order to get there? 4, what do you need to know to get there? 5, who do you need to know? And then you just go about it and you just apply diligence and you just execute and you execute and you execute. And then one day, David Robinson, he's a NBA Hall of Famer, used to play for the Spurs. He's my business partner now. So that's kind of cool. I can pick up the phone and call Dave. And Dave, what's up? And he's like, hey, what's up, Clay? And I'm going, I can't believe I'm talking to David Robinson. I'm a guy who took algebra 3 times. I'm not super talented. What's happening? What's happening is when you sow seeds and you water them, then you can reap a harvest. Feed your chickens.
Yeah, that's true.
Lay some eggs. Eat them. Boom.
Yeah, that is so true. A lot of great advice, and I think I'll have to re-listen to this podcast several times to let it all sink in as well.
You just got to kind of marinate. We got a rotisserie kind of marinate, just kind of getting that mojo.
Yeah, man, a lot of information. Okay, cool. So I have just a few more questions for you. Sure. One of them being is that, well, you already shared, I guess, I think you would say that this is the most important tip to any entrepreneur is find your why. I think, in your opinion, that's the most important thing, right?
To any human, if you're listening and if you're an alien or a canine or some sort of like a pouched mammal and you're listening, then you don't worry about this. But for humans, you got to find your why. What are you about? Because if you don't know what you're about, how can you get there? If you're hitchhiking through life, you put your thumb up, somebody pulls over and says, where do you want to go? And you go, I don't know. And don't say stupid stuff like, I want to be successful. Don't do that. Don't be the guy who says, I want to be successful and I want to have a good family. Don't do that. You need to be very specific with your answer. You need to say, I want to have X, Y, Z. How many hours a week do you want to spend with your wife? How many hours a week do you want to spend with your kids? Get specific. How much money will it cost? What trip do you want to go on? What relationships do you want to nurture? So if you're going, I don't know my why, break it down into these 5 areas. Spirit, mind, body, relationships, and finances. Spirit, mind, body, relationships, and finances. Those are the 5 areas. Figure out your goals. Go get them. Boom.
Awesome stuff, man. So finally, the question that I wanted to ask you, what would be your second most important advice to a beginner entrepreneur or someone who already has a business but wants to grow it?
Yep.
what would be like the most important thing they should concentrate on, either, business-wise or personal traits or anything really?
Work to learn, and then you'll earn.
That's nice. Could you elaborate on that a little?
Yeah. There's a guy who came to my office 6 years ago who now makes over $100,000 a year. He used to work at Reese's where he sprayed vegetables. He's a vegetable sprayer. He's spraying. It's a grocery store. He's spraying these vegetables. Spraying. How you doing? Welcome to the grocery store. What's up? Can I help you find an avocado?
Yeah.
Well, then he says, hey, I heard a rumor. My friend is making $100,000 a year working with you. I'd like to do that. What does it require? So, well, Eric, you have to do X, Y, Z. You have to, And he says, well, I've never done that before. And I'm like, well, that's good because I'm not going to pay you to do something you've never done before. You have to start working for free. You can work there full time and come here part time, and I'll pay you for the results. But I'm not paying you to show up, and I'm certainly not paying you to train you on these skills that you don't have. And he kind of looks at it and he's like, so what again? And I said, well, if you go to school, you got to pay those guys $50,000 to learn something. If you come here, I just won't pay you, and you can just work to learn, And once you get good, I'll pay you, Okay. And if you look at that, Eric went on to make $100,000 a year. I see him upstairs every day. He's the best. He's great. But I'll tell you this: every year he makes more than he did the last year. I'll tell you this though: look at Oprah Winfrey's life. How did she get started? How did Rockefeller get started? How did P. Diddy get started? How did Ryan Tedder, the songwriter for Beyonce and Adele and Maroon 5 and Timbaland, how did he get started? How do people get started? How did Steven Spielberg get started? I mean, how do you start at something if you don't have experience? If you need experience to get started, how do you get started if you don't have experience? I mean, how do you chicken before the egg? No. I'll tell you the Oprah story. Oprah says, I'm going to dress up every day because Oprah says where preparation meets opportunity, that's luck. So Oprah was her skin color was black. It still is black. That was the wrong color to be, though, in the 70s in America. We still have some racism now, but we had a lot in the 70s. But Oprah showed up every day working for free. What? For free. What? For free? Someone says for free. Yeah. Ryan Tedder worked for free. For free? What? Steven Spielberg worked for free. What? You can't pay me less than $15 an hour. I live in Seattle. Well, who gives a crap? The point is you have to work for free. So you go in there, you work for free. So one day, the anchor cannot be there. She cannot be there. I don't know why she can't be there. Was she sick? Was she caught in traffic? We don't know. But guess who was dressed up? And guess who was there every day early practicing on camera? And guess who the people had seen and had heard rumors about what a diligent person she was? Oprah. Have you ever heard that name before? Oprah. Mm-hmm. Oprah. You mean Oprah worked for free? Yeah. So Chicago puts a black person on TV. Well, the crazy thing about being an African American in Chicago is so is everybody. So the African Americans who are watching TV and were forced to watch white people every day, they're like, that's a fellow African American, and she's on TV and she's good. We need to get behind her and support her. So they start calling the station, requesting Oprah. Boom, Oprah Winfrey. Luck is preparation meets opportunity. So right now you have to work to learn, not to earn. Period.
That's awesome stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that. So right before you go, what would be the best way for people to find out more about you and maybe to reach out to you?
Well, the people at Wikipedia have reached out to me recently, and so soon you shall discover anything bad that I've ever done or anything good that allegedly I've done. And if you Google me and you find anything bad, it's probably true. Anything good is probably just PR. But the reality is, if you'll Google my name, Clay Clark, that's me. You'll see me and the 5 kids and the businesses, and then I'm sure you'll see just a real quick life tip here. If you're a really good employee, very few employers fire really good employees. Bad employees get fired, So if you see, ex-employees who are pissed off at me or hate me, that's probably true from their point of view. But other than that, you just Google me. You'll find all sorts of stuff, good, bad. You'll see it all. There it is. It's real. It's transparent. It's America. We don't use resumes anymore. We use a Google Trail. So you can look me up. And then if you go to thrive15.com and you take this challenge, I dare you, just this little challenge. Go to thrive15.com and commit to watching 15 minutes a day, because Forbes did a study that's also featured on DaveRamsey.com that shows that 82% of millionaires study success every day. 82%. 2% of the general population does, but 82% of millionaires study success every day. And so what happens is if you commit to studying success every day, if you just take my challenge, for 30 days, take 15 minutes a day to study success on Thrive15.com, just click the path, start a business, grow a business, or advance in my career, wherever you're at. Thrive15.com, promo code CLAY. Pick a path. If you'll do that, I promise you that your life will be different. And instead of reading history, you're going to make history. Boom.
Great stuff, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I've really had a blast talking to you and hearing all your advice and your stories.
Hey, I appreciate you, and I want to say this because your listeners probably don't get a chance to talk to the real you, get to see the real you. But you're a diligent dude. I mean, I loved everything about your whole process. You're so professional. You're so detailed, and I know your passion is to really help people. And I just will say, if you're listening to this and you're trying to make an extra paycheck, don't just listen to this one time. Listen to it over and over, because my main man, Alex, has a lot to say. He has a heart for people, and he cares. And I can't, gosh, if someone cares and is trying to help people, there's very few people like that. So, Alex, thank you for what you do, my friend.
Thanks, man. You just made me blush. First time on the podcast.
No, you're the man, dude. You're the man. I'm sorry that I'm contaminating your airwaves. You can kick me off here.
It's all right, man. I had a blast once again. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usual, I will be putting up a show notes page at extrapodcast.com/26. This is where you'll be able to find all the information, links, and other resources that were mentioned in today's episode. You can subscribe to Extra Paycheck Podcast on iTunes by simply going to extrapodcast.com/iTunes or searching for it on iTunes Store. Please do leave a review and rating. Those help a lot. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next Monday.